Hello everyone, it's Duke here once again, and you see me in front of the camera, you see I have notes in my hand, and you sense a waft of desperation about to loom over the Los Angeles Convention Center as we go another year without Half-Life 3. It's E3 time, E3 2015 in about 5-6 days now. First conference starts this Sunday with Bethesda. So a lot has been happening in the video game industry that I've been catching on the news, catching bits and pieces of on the internet and such, and I thought it'd be fun to make a pre-E3 video of things that have been happening. This isn't comprehensive. I'm sure I missed a couple of things here and there, and I do apologize for that. But I guess they somehow flew under my radar, or I just really didn't pay much attention to them for whatever reason. But I got a couple pages of notes here. I just wanted to go through them really quick about everything that's been going on. And let's start off with the big drama bomb that started around, towards the end of March, with the whole Konami Hideo Kojima thing that went down. Apparently Konami, their entire board of directors or something, they woke up one day and they decided, fuck making money, fuck Hideo Kojima, and fuck you. Great corporate strategy. I found a link on IGN that kind of gave the abbreviated timeline on everything that's happened because I couldn't possibly keep up with this shit. I've been busy. I've had so much going on, and I apologize for my absence on YouTube for the 5 people that want to see me do more Xbox videos. I do want to do more Xbox videos. They will come soon. I don't have a date, but that's neither here or there right now. This is about E3 news, so some pre-E3 stuff. So Konami and Kojima. So this whole thing started apparently on March 19th. And I have here Konami taking Kojima's name and branding off of their website, and they claim studio-wide restructuring. Later on that day, a report surfaced detailing Kojima would leave Konami in December following the release of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, currently slated for a September 1st release. Revealed that he and his team are simply contractors to Konami. So I don't know how long that's been going on. I was under the guise that he was pretty much a full-time employee because, like, Hideo Kojima, basically, he's half of Konami. I mean, let's be real here. They haven't really released anything that I've caught that seem as appealing as the Metal Gear Solid series. That sucks. So apparently studio-wide restructuring at Konami is code for, like, fucking over people and their consumers, I guess. So we move on to the next day, and this was peculiar, where Konami put in job listings for people to help work on future Metal Gear games. So even though Kojima's leaving, Konami still owns the IP of Metal Gear, I guess, and they're going to make more spin-off games, or, they're going to make subpar games with the licensing, is pretty much what that means. Konami and Kojima both promised that Metal Gear Solid 5 will continue to be worked on to completion, which was, that was a big thing with Kojima leaving and basically starting to sever ties with Konami. Like, oh my god, are we still getting Metal Gear Solid 5? Trust me, we're getting Metal Gear Solid 5. Konami's not going to let, that money printing machine, they're not just going to cancel that outright. Can't say the same for Silent Hills, but I'll get to that in a minute. We go forward to March 25th, 5 days later. Konami cancels Kojima's weekly Under the Reason of various circumstances. So I guess he had a weekly address or a weekly show he usually does. It just so happened this week that they canceled Kojima's weekly show under various circumstances. So I don't know if they did it just to be a dick. I don't know if Kojima didn't want to do it. If he didn't want to do it, it's pretty understandable given the circumstances here, but it is what it is. So the day after that, March 26th, Konami reiterates Metal Gear Solid 5 being on track for release and that the studio is undergoing further rebranding, whatever that means. Could they be any more fucking vague with that? They remain aloof on Kojima's relationship with the company. So Kojima claims he's contracted with the company. Konami's basically saying, rebranding. Rebrand. That's the only official term they're giving. So, you definitely know something suspicious is going on at this point. And then we round out the month of March on the 31st. Konami pulls the Kojima Productions logo from the main website for Silent Hills. Claims rebranding once again. Bet you never would have guessed that. So at this point, people are up in arms like, oh my god, is Silent Hills being canceled? What the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? Like, Konami and Kojima have been like peas in a pod for the longest fucking time, and then all of a sudden, like out of the blue, out of nowhere, this shit happens. So then we go to April 2nd. Konami adds Kojima branding back to select Metal Gear products and doesn't give a reason why. Okay. Then finally, this is when the shit really hit the fan on April 27th. Silent Hills is officially canceled, and the PT demo on the PS4 will be unavailable to download past the 29th. People who previously downloaded the game will not be able to access it again. I got a PS4 at the end of March, just when around Bloodborne came out, a few days after that. I was lucky enough to grab the PT demo. So I didn't check it out yet. There's not much reason to at this point, since it's basically an advertising vehicle for a game that's never going to come out of, apparently. So, but yeah, that sucks. I'll just round this timeline out here because, I'm going to come back to what I just mentioned here in a minute. May 7th. So we're in May now. Konami in talks with eBay to aggressively take down auctions with people selling PS4s with the PT demo pre-installed onto it. And I put here, who's the bigger scumbag here? I really don't know at this point. I would lean towards the people, as much as I hate to agree with Konami on anything at this point after all this shit that went down. I would agree with Konami at this point because people selling PS4s with PT on them are basically assholes because PT is tied to an account. Anything you download on a PS4 is tied to an account. It's not like the Wii U where it's actually tied to the system and any account on that system can access the data or the games or whatever. You know what I mean? So if the seller gets a new PS4 and they put their fucking account which PT is attached to onto their PS4, then PT's going to disappear from the fucking idiot who bought it on eBay, and they're not going to have PT anymore, which was the whole reason they were paying 100% markup on a fucking PS4. So good for them. I'm glad they got their auction shut down. They're fucking assholes. And if they're trying to screw over people like that, I hope they get what's coming to them very, very soon. But yeah, it's amazing how aggressive Konami's being towards erasing Silent Hills from everyone's memory. With Silent Hill, I'm not the biggest fan of Silent Hill. Like, I love the first game. The first game I would consider one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games of all time for that system. Excuse me. But I never played any of the sequels, and I'm not sure why. Same thing with Metal Gear Solid. Love the first game. Metal Gear Solid's probably my favorite PS1 game on the entire system. Never played any of the sequels. Don't know why. But from what everyone was saying, Silent Hill 4 was disappointing. Then they made a couple of spin-offs that were disappointing. And after that, it just kind of... everyone got mixed feelings about the series as a whole, and then this comes out of nowhere, this PT demo, and just blew everyone's mind when it came out. And like I said, I wasn't the biggest Silent Hill fan, so I didn't play the PT demo, but a lot of people were really passionate about it. There was a petition online, I think it reached signatures in the 6 figures, of bringing it back, or just begging Kojima or whoever to start a Kickstarter. And it just never materialized, unfortunately. There was, I'll skip ahead here a little bit, there was a rumor started by Rooster Teeth where Microsoft was going to buy Silent Hills and release it as an exclusive, but it was quickly shot down by Phil Spencer, which was kind of unfortunate because I would have loved to see that to happen. Because if it fucking happened, you and I both know that the stupid console war that's going on between the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, if Sony bought it, and released it outright, they would be the saviors of gaming as we know it. But if Microsoft bought Silent Hills for $1 billion and fucking released it, they would get criticized for just wasting their money. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, unfortunately, Silent Hills is dead and buried at this point, at least temporarily. Who knows? But oh man, and the cherry on the shit Sunday, all this. The fucking CEO comes out. I don't know when this was. Probably because my mind is already trying to purge it from me before I like hurt something or someone. But the CEO basically came out and said that mobile is the future. The future is going to be mobile games. It's because of the restructuring they've been doing that they're going to focus their capital and their effort on, their gambling industry and their mobile games. And that's where they see is their strong suit and blah, 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 blah. Fuck the Western world pretty much. So here's my problem with all this. It's two things. One, with Konami saying that mobile games are the future, I get it. I get it to a point. I've never been to Japan. I don't really know how their lifestyle differs from ours. I know it does in several areas, obviously, but I'm not quite sure what the specifics are, like all of them. But I know the pancha slot games, the gambling, the slot machines over there are huge, 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 huge. I know mobile gaming over there is huge compared to what it is over here. So, being a business and making games, when you look at how the market is over in your own country and you're seeing how mobile games flourish, you're seeing how these slot machines, this pancha slot stuff flourishes, it's a good business decision to focus all of your investment and time and effort into that to make more money for your business. I get it. But on the other hand, you're basically fucking over the rest of the world that made you a household name. God damn it. All I ever wanted was another, a Contra game. Like something in the vein of Shattered Soldier for the PlayStation 2. That was great, but how long did that fucking game come out? Isn't that game over 10 years old now? I wanted something like that on the Xbox One and PS4 with achievements and trophies and leaderboards and maybe online multiplayer co-op or something like that. But we're never going to get that now because the only fucking way you're going to get a new Contra game is either it's going to be a shitty fucking mobile game, it's going to be a half-assed port of the NES version where you've got to spend 99 cents on fucking power-ups and lives, or it's going to be in a slot machine in some, smoky casino in Kyoto somewhere. It sucks. And I have a list pulled up here on my laptop here of games Konami made. And you really don't know, at least for me, how big of an influence it was on my gaming childhood Konami was. When you, not unless you actually sit here and look at a list of all these games they made. I mean, let's forget what they made for the arcades, okay? Because they made a shit ton of games for the arcades in the 80s and 90s. But let's just focus on the NES games they made. So Track and Field, Antarctic Adventure, The Goonies, Gradius, Castlevania, The Goonies 2, Russian Attack, Double Dribble, Life Force, Top Gun was kind of... But Metal Gear... the NES version that Kojima is basically said is the bastardized version of Metal Gear, but I kind of enjoyed it because it was the NES. The NES was my childhood, and that's where I first played Metal Gear, as did a lot of people over here in the States. Contra, that I mentioned. Blades of Steel. The Adventures of Bayou Billy. I like that game a lot. Gyrus. Skate or Die. Defender of the Crown. Let's see what else. Snake's Revenge. Paradius. I think that's how you say it. Ski or Die. Base Wars. Tiny Toon Adventures. That was a fun game. Let's see. Monster in My Pocket. And that's pretty much it for the NES. The SNES, of course, had Super Castlevania 4, Contra 3, Lethal Enforcers, Sparkster, Then you go in the N64 era, Mystical Ninja, starring Gomon, the Gomon games, they're there. Let's see. Then we go into the GameCube game. They actually distributed Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex in 2003. I didn't know that. All the Dance Dance Revolution games, the DDR games were huge around that time. All the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games they made. And then it kind of tapers off in the Wii era with the Nintendo Wii. With the Genesis, they made Lethal Enforcers again. They made Rocket Knight Adventures. They made Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Fucking Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Like, hey, you want to see a new Zombies Ate My Neighbors game? Oh, hey, go to your local casino and play some slots, bitch. That's basically what they're saying. Like any of those games I just mentioned, you want a sequel to those? Let's go to the PlayStation era. Suikoden. You want a Suikoden sequel? Because Konami's not going to make it. Oh, and they made 3 games for the Sega CD. All 3 are good. Lethal Enforcers, Lethal Enforcers 2 Gunfighters, and a little game called Snatcher. Maybe you've heard of it. Just one of the greatest games of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, man. Oh my god. Going through this list is like a kick in the balls. And if you want to see what list I'm going through, it's just list of Konami games on Wikipedia. Like, they're all here. But yeah, I mean, you get the point. You're not going to sit here and watch me read a Wikipedia article on my laptop. Yeah, Contra Shattered Soldier came out in 2002. Wow, it's been that long. Damn. But yeah, this is heartbreaking. And you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Businesses have to make money. That's fine. But they don't have to be fucking assholes to make money either. So yeah, they're going to make more money when they streamline their strategy for profits and what they're going to make and what they're going to invest in and everything. But they basically gave a giant middle finger to the rest of the world, especially us in the Western world here who grew up on their games. So if you want to see a sequel to any of those games I just mentioned or any of those game series I just mentioned, it's either going to be a shitty cell phone game, a half-assed fucking game on your mobile phone that you're not going to play at all, or it's going to be in a slot machine somewhere in Japan. Unless somehow miraculously Konami changes their corporate strategy, which I doubt they would after all this time and effort they put into, you know, restructuring, as they love to call it, or someone comes into Konami and buys some of the game IPs off of them, and a different company makes them, just like how Gearbox made Duke Nukem Forever. That's probably not the best example, but you get my point. Like, someone else can come in and they can make a good game. Just like Retro Studios made Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. That's really in the vein of the Super Nintendo games. I mean, that's a great example. So yeah, hopefully that happens. Hopefully someone sees what's going on and rescues some of these, like, preferably all of the games I mentioned. I would love to see them again. Spiritual successors, or hell, just fucking remaster them. You know, I'd probably buy you know, the Contra, like a Contra Super C and Contra Force. If you took all 3 of those games and threw them on Xbox One for $15 with leaderboards and achievements, I'd probably buy it. But it's not a slot machine game and it's not a cell phone game, so fuck me, I guess. So yeah, I'm pretty much done with Konami at this point. They've stated crystal clear what they want to do with their strategy going forward. Hey, I wish them the best of luck. I'm not going to be a part of it. Thanks for the memories. Oh, and the second thing I wanted to touch on, if I can just rewind a little bit and I'll move on from this Konami shit, is that I don't like how the PT demo got taken off, but you can't re-download it. That's shitty, and here's why. It's not exactly about the PT demo, because Jeff Gertzman of Giant Bomb fame, I listened to him say on the podcast, like, explain his reasoning behind why he's not that upset that PT is gone, and he actually made a good point. He said, all that existed for was a promotional vehicle for Silent Hills. If you beat PT, from what I understand, it showed basically a small reel, a teaser trailer for Silent Hills. Now that Silent Hills is gone, there's not much reasoning excuse me, for PT to exist. And I get that. It makes sense as a business decision. My problem with this fucking bullshit is that with digital games as a whole, that any passive-aggressive motherfucker that has control of the servers for any digital game can just flip the switch one day and all of a sudden that game's gone. You can't play it, you can't download it, it's not on your account anymore, it's gone. I don't like that. And companies, all these companies are pushing, oh, digital is the future, and Steam, Valve with Steam pretty much cornered the market on PC games. Like, I don't know anyone. I can't remember the last time I bought a physical PC game. They're all on Steam now. You want a PC game, you buy it on Steam. That's pretty much the case 98% of the time. But Valve's gone on record. Valve's an exception because they've gone on record several times saying if something should happen to the service, that they'll flip a switch and all the games will work in offline mode, and they'll actually work how PC games always used to work back in the 80s and 90s, where they're installed on your hard drive and that's it. They'll cut the activation. They'll cut the activation signals or whatever it goes through when it boots up on Steam, and that's fine. My big problem with this is that there's this shift going on in the industry now where games aren't a product, they're a service. What that means is when I bought games growing up, or anyone around my age bought games growing up in the 80s and 90s, is that you bought a tangible cartridge or a tangible CD or whatever. You had the game. It was all there. If they wanted to make a new version of the game, if they really, really, really wanted to fix something in the game, they needed to make another revision of that physical copy and then ship it out. So it was very costly to do. And you know, there was no way someone can take that away from you. They can't just... Your Super Nintendo wasn't hooked up to the internet, per se. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was like Satellaview and stuff, but that's something completely different. You know what I mean? But the point I'm trying to make here is they couldn't go in and like remove, you know, Super Mario RPG from your Super Nintendo so you can never play it anymore. And that's the problem. The data isn't in your cartridges, it's not on your discs anymore. The data is attached to an internet account that's controlled by servers and stuff like that. So if they want to, anyone can do this. Microsoft can do it, Sony can do it, Nintendo can do it. No one's really safe anymore. Valve can do it with their PC games because it's their service you're using. EA can do it with Origin. You know what I mean? Someone could just flip a switch and your data's gone. That's why I kind of like, I like buying physical games. Like I have a whole bunch of physical games for my Xbox One over here. Because not only do I like holding something tangible, I love the physical aspect of it. It's something you can show off. It's something you can actually hold in your hands and interact with. I mean, sure, you need more physical space for physical items, I get that, but with digital, it feels like you have less control over what you're using and what you're buying. You know, I don't like this where you're buying a service instead of a product. Like, it feels like you're buying fucking, like, especially with these multiplayer-only games nowadays, it feels like you're buying an extended rental. You're not buying a game. You know what I mean? And I don't like it. And that's, like, with them taking the PT demo off of PSN, that's what it kind of felt like. It felt like, oh man, you know, we don't own these games anymore. We're just playing them. We're paying for the privilege of playing them for a little while until, you know, they decide to shut off the servers at HQ, pretty much. I don't like that. And then that goes into the whole thing. Another thing that's not E3 related that I didn't put on here, but the whole ESA and the corporation that wants to archive games and the ESA, they've both been going at it to decide what to do about video game preservation. And I've said before, I think I've touched on this in my other videos before, is that these works need to be preserved. Because you know someone out there has PT on their hard drive, or they pushed it onto another hard drive and they're not letting it go. And when the PS4 is homebrew enabled eventually, that's the only other time everyone will get to play PT again that didn't download it. So, I mean, like, I don't like where that's going. I really don't. I want to buy games as products. I don't want them as services. they become much, much harder to preserve from now on, and I'm sick of what companies interpret as piracy. A lot of people, including myself, interpret as preservation. And that's the battle that's going on right now. But, you know, that's just going to play out whether we like it or not, and I just hope that preservation wins over. I really, really do. But moving on. Games delayed to 2016. This was announced. Zelda for the Wii U. I mean, is there anyone out there who thought Zelda for the Wii U was actually coming out this year? Like, when's the last time a Zelda game kept their first release date? So that's no big surprise. Quantum Break, the Xbox One exclusive, pushed to 2016. Ubisoft's The Division, that got pushed to 2016. Uncharted 4 for the PS4, 2016. The Ratchet & Clank reboot, and Dead Island 2. So we won't see any of those games this year. And a little bit of Sony news I saw on IGN. This actually, the first article was May 27th. Andrew House basically issued a small statement that he acknowledged that 2015 PS4 first-party lineup is quote-unquote sparse. Yeah, that's one word for it. I mean, I said in a couple of my other videos that the PS4 really has nothing to play on it. And he basically came out and said, yeah, the PS4 has nothing to play on it. Unless, you know, third-party publishers want to put games on it. That'd be kind of cool. You know, hey, we have no games to release, so hey, every company out there, release games on our system, please. Pretty please. Because we got nothing. We got Uncharted 4. Wow. Yeah, that's not good. And then the next day, if that wasn't damaging enough, the next day, Sony brands Vita a legacy platform outside Japan. So much for Vita meaning life, especially, you know, not with regards to this system anyway. Wow. Yeah, we knew the Vita was struggling. We didn't know it was this bad. At least I didn't. So legacy platform, that basically tells me if you use your corporate bullshit filter that I've been so used to using, like almost on a daily basis when I read the news anymore, that's basically saying, well, it still sells in Japan, so we'll sell it there, but we're going to start killing it off everywhere else. Not just North America, everywhere else. So I can't wait to get a Vita in the bargain bin at you know, for $50 within the next year. Sucks, you know. The Vita had potential. I mean, I've used the Vita. It's a nice system, but you know, it just doesn't. It's just not cutting the mustard for Sony, I guess. So yeah, that sucks. They didn't announce any concrete plans. I think of. Yeah, it doesn't mention. Let's see. Yeah. Well, here's an update here. Sony has released a clarifying statement explaining that House's comments on Vita being a legacy platform were in fact directed solely at older models of the hardware. Okay. That kind of makes that changes everything a bit. So, you know, hopefully they still go with their whole Vita means life thing and they keep releasing games on it and not just fucking PSN ports from PS4. Like, I want to actually see exclusive games I can only play on the Vita on it. So, okay, the Vita's still alive for now. I'm glad I pulled this back up and saw the update before I made these notes. So, then we go to Need for Speed reboot. Yeah. Need for Speed's being rebooted again. And I put here, why? It comes out this fall for Xbox One, PS4, PC. Actually, the article here states a November 3rd release date. Collaboration with feedback from Speed Hunters, which EA claims is their car culture community. Okay. Ghost Games promises that the rebooted franchise will have deep customization, authentic urban car culture, a nocturnal open world, and an immersive narrative. Ghost Games, they were the ones that made Need for Speed Rivals, which was the last game in the series, and that was 2013. I know that because I have it on Xbox One. It was alright. But I got a big problem with this. So they're rebooting the series, but they claim it's going to have deep customization, authentic urban car culture, an open world, and an immersive narrative. Now, when I hear the word reboot, that means that they're going back to the roots of the series, they're going back to basics, and they're going back to what made the series great in the first place. None of that shit was in the first, I would say, 3 or 4 games. I know that because I played the shit out of the first 4 games. I had them all. And when I think of the roots of the series, my mind immediately goes to the Need for Speed. Road and Track's The Need for Speed. And if you've played that, you'll know that it was a very basic game. There was only 8 exotic sports cars in it. There was even less tracks in it. There was a city track. There was a track named Alpine, which is like a forest, woodsy kind of track. And I forget what else was in it. Maybe there were a couple more tracks, but I can't remember the names. There was a coastal one too. But and there was only 2 ways you can play that game. There was one where you raced against the pack. That was with you and 7 other cars. And the other way was a head-to-head race, just against you and the AI. And in that, there was traffic you had to avoid, and there was the somewhat uncommon cop. Like, you were lucky to maybe run into 1, maybe 2 police officers. And if they got ahead of you, they would force you to slow down and you would get a ticket. And that was it. The entire point of Need for Speed 1 was to come in first place. That was it. But when I look at these features that Ghost Games is touting, it reminds me a lot of customization, open world, urban car culture. That sounds like a reboot of the Underground series, and the Underground series started in the early 2000s. So don't say you're going to reboot the series and then make it like a game that was released almost 10 years after the first game in your entire series came out. That's just a little confusing. So I'm sure we'll find out more in the the EA conference at E3. I think they're gonna do it on Monday. I think around I think it's at 4 Eastern. I'll get to the schedule at the end here, but yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, if it looks like the other Underground games, that's great. I didn't really care for the Underground games that much. Like I said, I'm more of an old school guy, so I played the older games in this series, but we'll see when it comes out. I just thought it was very strange how they tried to, break the news about rebooting it, whatever that means. Another bit of bad news, no Respawn Entertainment or Titanfall 2 appearances at E3. Fuck. That was one of the games I was really looking forward to just see if they had some concept footage or just something. Like, Titanfall was awesome. And of course, yeah, Titanfall 2 is going to be multi-platform. I don't care. I'm still getting on an Xbox One. Hopefully we see footage of that, like gameplay footage, like almost finished gameplay footage next year, and that comes out holiday next year, which seems about right. So that's a disappointment. But yeah, that about does it for the shit I've seen in the past few months or so. So let's get to some good news. Yooka-Laylee, Playtonic Games' spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, funded in less than 45 minutes. As of 7:30 p.m. on May 14th, it has raised... May 14th. No, I had to change that. It was actually June the 7th. I went back and checked it. But as of June 7th, it has raised just under $2.8 million with 9 more days to go. Yeah, that's nuts. And just like a pair of lovely juicy breasts, we got this one in pairs because there's another Kickstarter game that's out that looks awesome. Koji Igarashi of Symphony of the Night fame launches a spiritual successor to Castlevania called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night that asked for a little less than twice of the money Yooka-Laylee asked for, but also got funded in less than a day. As of Sunday, June 7th, it stands at just under $3.6 million with 5 days to go. And if that isn't a middle finger to Konami, I don't know what is. Because clearly it shows that with these classic games that people still want this stuff. So, yeah, I can't wait for either one of those games to come out. They both look fantastic. One thing I love about Yooka-Laylee is I was scrolling quickly through the quick Kickstarter page is that whole, the sound effects, the dialogue that was in the old Banjo games where they went, rah, 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 rah. That's actually going to be in Yooka-Laylee again. It's the same guy, I forget his name, but it's listed on the Kickstarter page, but it's the same guy who did it for the older games. I just thought that was charming. When me and my friends discussed the Banjo games, that's one of the first things we go, like, that dialogue was awesome. Wasn't the voice acting great, but, you know, it was really fun. It was cute. It was charming. And, of course, everyone knows about Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was announced. That lit the internet on fire when the teaser was released for that. The trailer didn't announce platforms or release date, but only current-gen platforms are shown on Fallout4.com. It was later confirmed by someone on NeoGAF that it is just going to be a current-gen title. So if you were somehow expecting to play Fallout 4 on your 10-year-old Xbox 360, it's not going to happen. It's time to upgrade. Yeah, release date will most likely be revealed at E3. There's strong hints suggesting a 2015 release. I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed to 2016, though. That's just me. There's a good chance it may come out in 2015, though. So that's on its way. Also, XCOM 2 got announced. It takes place 20 years after the original rebooted XCOM. Not XCOM Enemy Unknown from '94, I think it came out. It's the XCOM that got rebooted. It's a sequel to that. PC only for now, and it's on track for a November 2015 release. I can see that because if it's a pretty complicated, it's a pretty complicated strategy game. I can see it. Even if it did get a console release in the future, I could see it being a bit like watered down and stuff. Like, I don't know. I couldn't see playing XCOM on a console, just like I couldn't see playing Diablo on a console, but everyone swears that Diablo 3 on the PS4 and Xbox One are good. I don't know. I said it before, if I'm going to play Diablo, I'm going to play it with a mouse on a PC. I don't know. Dark Souls 3 for 2016. That's interesting. It is just a rumor at this point, but the rumor, this is also from Rooster Teeth, I think. Their show is called In the Know, or The Know, or something like that. Rumors include 10 different character classes and 45 new enemies to face. Most likely more info to come at E3. So hopefully that's cool. Hopefully that comes out soon, because I just recently played through Bloodborne. That was a great game. I bought a PS4 at the end of March when Amazon was doing that whole deal where the PS4 was $400, but you got Bloodborne for free, you got The Last of Us Remastered for free, you got a $20 Amazon gift card. So I'm like, well, I've been saving up Amazon gift credit over the past year just so I can pounce on a PS4 when the time was right, and that was definitely the right time. This game's phenomenal. And I've never played a Dark Souls game before. I didn't play Demon Souls. This was my first experience in the Miyazaki world, I guess you can say. Fantastic game. 10 out of 10. It was worth the price of the system for me, and you're definitely not going to hear me say that every day. There's a few things I have to do. I have to play through New Game Plus. I have to do the Chalice Dungeons. I didn't do the Chalice Dungeons the first time because I just wanted to get through the main story because I've got a ton of fucking shit I gotta play. I have such a backlog, it's insane. Like I said, like I keep saying on here and I keep saying on Twitter, there's no fucking time. But yeah, this is great. But yeah, after this, there's nothing really to play on the PS4. I mean, what else is there? Yeah, there's Last of Us, but I mean, that was out on the PS3. It's technically a PS3 game. Like, come on. And that's why I'm going to look for Sony next week. Give me something that makes me want to take this out of my PS4. And that's a tall order, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, in regards to Dark Souls 3, that's great because after playing this, I actually want to go back and play the Dark Souls games. I know Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin is on the Xbox One. I'm going to get that when it goes on sale. I want to play the first Dark Souls. I want to play Demon Souls. Like, I am totally sold on this series. Fantastic game. So yeah, hopefully we get more Dark Souls 3 info. Rainbow Six Siege. That got an official release date, October 13th. We're going to see that. Lords of the Fallen 2, which was kind of like... it was a game inspired by Dark Souls. Lords of the Fallen 2 already got announced for 2017, so that's a little ways off. Quantum Break's release window, I mentioned that it got delayed to 2016. That's going to come out in the spring of 2016. I think Remedy released a statement. It was coming out between March and May, so spring. Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection was announced for the PS4, and this has been rumored, I think, for almost the past year. If there was going to be an Uncharted collection to promote the release of Uncharted 4, and here it is. There's a catch though, it contains only the single-player campaigns from all 3 PS3 titles and comes with multiplayer access for Uncharted 4, no multiplayer for the first 3 games though. That comes out October 7th in Europe and October 9th in North America, so look for that. New hardware SKUs were leaked for both the Xbox One and the PS4. IGN actually confirmed it this morning that the Xbox One, the 1 terabyte model with the Halo Master Chief Collection, that was coming out for I think $349, and it's going to come with the new controller. The only difference with the new controller is that it actually has a 3.5 millimeter headset jack. So I guess you can use like all your old headsets on that. You don't have to buy the adapter, you know. So there's that. There's also a rumor of a 1 terabyte PS4 bundle coming out. Nothing really concrete that I personally saw on that as of yet. I'm sure we'll get more info of that in the Sony conference coming up next week. Forza Motorsport 6 details were leaked. It contains at least 26 tracks, at least 450 cars, night racing, split screen, local multiplayer, 24-player races, and more drivatars. So I hope you like the drivatars in Forza 4 and Forza Horizon 2, because they're coming back, and they're probably not going anywhere anytime soon. More details at E3, obviously. Tales of Berseria announced for the PS3 and PS4 in Japan. No word of a Western release just yet, but that's the new like Tales of series. You know, Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Destiny. If you Tales of, you know what I mean. You guys know what I'm talking about. Here's an interesting one: a new Shadow Warrior by Flying Wild Hog. If you don't know who that is, it's they recently remade Shadow Warrior. I have it right there. Yeah. Flying Wild Hog. Yeah, they're the ones who developed that. That was a remake of the old 3D Realms Shadow Warrior. That was for DOS. That came out in the mid-90s. I think it was 96 or 97 it came out. One of the last DOS releases. And I really enjoyed that game. I didn't play the new one as of yet. I got it on sale for like $15 or something ridiculous. So I really want to play that. I've seen video of it though. It looks really cool, so I'm glad they're making a sequel to that. I mean, apparently it sold well enough to warrant a sequel to that, so that's really cool. Not really gaming related, but Windows 10 is coming out way fucking sooner than I thought it would. July 29th. So get ready to upgrade. You should have received a notification on your computers where you can reserve your upgrade. And if you do that within the next year, I think it is, which is a long fucking time to reserve an upgrade, that upgrade will basically be free. Then there was another article mentioning that you can install Windows 10 clean. Like you don't always have to install Windows 8 or Windows 7 then upgrade to Windows 10. So that's really cool. There's nothing concrete on that as of yet of how that's going to work, but I'm sure we'll get more info as we get closer to July 29th. A couple more things here. June 4th update on Crackdown from Phil Spencer himself, and I quote, "Development is progressing smoothly," so Crackdown is still in the works. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare received a permanent price drop to $20 recently. Sequel rumored to come out in Q1 2016. That was the reason for the price drop. There was a teaser video, I think that was released earlier today or yesterday, that it didn't give an exact name, but it's Garden Warfare 2. I mean, it just looks at it looks like Garden Warfare. There was explosions going off. It was the same like third-person camera that's in Garden Warfare. It's Garden Warfare 2. And I actually picked this up for $20, and it's great. I thought this was going to be one of the dumbest things in the world. Like, it's going to be a kiddie version of Call of Duty, pretty much. But this game oozes charm and style, and it's so much fun. I've been playing, it's one of the games I'm currently playing now. It's great. It's really fun. It's like a deathmatch shooter, kind of, but there's different classes. I would say it's more akin to something like Team Fortress 2, maybe, a little bit, but it's even a lighter version of that. You know, you can do basic, like, 4-on-4 deathmatch games, or there's this mode I've been playing called Garden Ops, where you basically go into this 4-player battle, and you have to put your garden in set locations around specific maps, and you have to fight off hordes of zombies that come after you, and it's really, really fun. Yeah, I definitely recommend this for $20. If you like multiplayer shooters, definitely a good buy. I'm enjoying it a lot. But yeah, the sequel's coming out next year, but I wouldn't worry, like, especially on the Xbox One. I don't know about PS4. There's still a ton of people playing on an Xbox One, so I don't think player population's a big deal like I thought it was going to be. Still a ton of people playing. I had no problems finding games. Then, let's see, Splatoon came out. That game is awesome. I went and played the first global test fire when that came out. That was around the 8th of May. And I went from hardly caring about this game at all to like, oh my god, I need this now. You know, May 29th, it's going to be such a long time to get to there. And it was excruciating, because the very first time I played this, I wanted to play this more and more and more and more and more. And it's great. This game is everything I've been wanting in a Nintendo game for God knows how long. It's fun, it's new, it's fresh, it's interesting, it's engaging. It has a low barrier of entry. I can give the controller, I can pass it off to my fiance who, you know, whose gaming expertise stops at like Candy Crush Saga, and I can tell her to play a round of this, and she can hold her own in this game, and she has a blast. I mean, you can't say that about that many games. And I thought $60 was a bit steep. This could have used a little more content. The two big criticisms about this game were it doesn't have enough content for one, and there's no voice chat. The voice chat I don't really give a shit about, because the way the game utilizes the gamepad, it's intuitive enough to know what you want to do. And it basically, when you go into Turf War, all you need to know is spray your ink everywhere faster than the other team can spray their ink around the level. That's it. You don't need to really talk to anyone to know how to do that. You know, if I have any criticisms, it's just about the nature of multiplayer games. Like, I went off on a mini rant on Twitter last night. If you follow my Twitter account, I'm Moraduke on Twitter as well, that I got pissed off of always being on the shit teams and getting like railroaded by the fucking try-hard teams out there. But it's not a Splatoon problem, it's just a multiplayer shooter problem in general. I don't know I don't know how I got this curse or hex on me that I always get teamed with idiots that don't know how to adapt to different situations to make us eventually win a match, but they never do. So I don't know how I got it. I don't know how I can get rid of that curse, but whatever. It's still a fun game. There is a single player portion. You can probably blow through that in an afternoon, though. It's kind of more of an extended tutorial to multiplayer, which is the meat and potatoes of this game. But yeah, I mean, you've probably played Splatoon by now or watched it play. It's really, really, really fun. I thought $60 was a bit steep for this, but I still got it because, one, I want to support this kind of game. I want Nintendo to keep trying new things like this. It's new. Praise the sun. You know what I mean? It's new. It's not Mario Brothers 28, and it's not Zelda 17. It's something new. Thank you, Nintendo. Thank you so much. It's a lot of fun. You know, $60 was steep, but I went ahead and bought it because, like I said before, I wanted to support this, and really, like, what else is coming out for the Wii U this year that's really worth buying, honestly? The only other thing I'm going to buy for the Wii U, if I didn't buy this, was Star Fox, that was teased last year. And, A, if Star Fox is actually coming out this year, and B, it doesn't suck. Because the only way a Star Fox game could come out this year and maybe, kind of, sort of, maybe wants to make me spend $60 on it is if it's a Star Fox going back to the old days of the Star Fox on the Super Nintendo or Star Fox 64. But yeah, if you have a Wii U, buy this game. You won't be disappointed. It's fantastic. A couple more things. Let's see. Speaking of Nintendo, Lucas from Earthbound fame comes to Smash Brothers on June 14th. So during E3, don't forget to grab Lucas and fight with him. New game from Platinum Games is announced, but they're not going to announce what the game actually is until Tuesday the 16th at 6 p.m. Eastern. Fucking blue balls for Platinum Games fans out there. There's a strong rumor that it's going to be Metal Gear Rising Revengeance 2. So, if it's that, you heard it here. And the last thing I want to touch on before I get to the schedule is, the Mega Man Legacy Collection that was announced yesterday. I have mixed feelings about this. Comes out this summer. There's no set date. What it is, it includes Mega Man 1 through 6, so all the games on the NES or the Famicom. But this time they're not just ports, they're built from the ground up to run on the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC, which is what the collection is going to be released for. It's also going to be released on the Nintendo 3DS, but not till this winter, so you guys are going to have to wait a few more months if you have a 3DS. What's going to happen, it's Mega Man 1 through 6, built from the ground up. There's going to be a challenge mode, similar to if you played the NES Remix games on the Wii U. They're going to be like that, where the stages are kind of in an arranged mode where you have to, it's going to be more challenging. Items are probably going to be in different places. We don't know a lot about it, but there's going to be achievements and trophies for the Xbox One and PS4 respectively. There's going to be leaderboards. There's going to be a museum mode where you can look at drawings and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. And it's only $15, which is decent. My big problem with this was, a lot of other people pointed out, is that the Mega Man Anniversary Collection from 2004, albeit costing $50, had more games than this Legacy Collection has in it. That actually had Mega Man 1 through 8, and it had 2 very uncommon Mega Man games. I think they were only released in the arcade, and they were only released in Japan. So, I don't know. I still might get it because I just want to show Capcom, who was just absolutely shocked that people, when they re-released the Resident Evil remake that first came out on the GameCube, when they re-released it digitally on the PC and the current gen consoles, that tons of people bought it. Like, it just absolutely blew their fucking minds how many copies they sold of this great game they released all these years ago. And they're like, well, you know what? Maybe people actually like our old games. Huh, never would have thought of that. So that's where this is coming from. So now they're starting this whole remastering, re-release campaign. They got a few more games coming on the pipeline that they're going to release. Resident Evil 0 HD, that was also on the GameCube. They're going to release an HD version of that. Then they're going to release Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition. Those are coming down the pipeline. But I still might buy this just for an excuse to play the Mega Man NES games again, because, like I said, the NES is my favorite console of all time. I think I said that before, and no nostalgia is like NES nostalgia to me. That's where I cut my teeth. That's what I grew up with. That's my bread and butter. I love, love, love the NES. Even when I get a bigger place, I'm going to make a retro corner. I'm going to build a furnished den and make a retro corner, and I'm actually going to put a corner where my Nintendo, I'm going to get an actual Nintendo Entertainment System again and make a kind of retro corner there. So I love the NES, and Mega Man is probably one of the best, if not the best series on the NES next to the Mario Brothers series. So yeah, I'll probably end up getting that just because I want to go after Mega Man achievements. That'll be fun, and also to show Capcom that, yeah, I want this. Now, can we have a Mega Man X collection, please? Like, I was hoping this would have at least Mega Man 1 through 10 in it. Maybe the Mega Man X games, but, you know, Mega Man's a different Mega Man in the NES games, and he's different in the SNES games, so keep them separate, whatever. But I want a Mega Man X collection, because you released an X collection before, you can do it again. And I also want Mega Man 9 and 10 on the Xbox One, too. That'd be great. And, you know, if you're going to go that far with it, and a lot of people buy this, I want to see, like, Mega Man Soccer, or... you know, the entire X collection, like going into the PlayStation games like X4, X5, X6, Mega Man Legends. Hell, if there's enough interest in this, they could, God forbid, make a new Mega Man game. They already announced they're making a new cartoon series, so finally they've pulled their heads out of their asses for what, like almost a decade, and they're revitalizing this great series that they have on hand. So luckily Capcom hasn't gone the way of Konami just yet, so... You know, if enough people support these games, these re-releases they're doing, maybe they'll stick around for a little while and go, hey, maybe we'll push more Mega Man out. You know, more actual good stuff. You know, not shit like fucking Street Fighter V on the PS4. But yeah, that's really all the news. Like I said, I probably missed some things here and there, but I only have so much time, and this video is probably running long anyway. So... here's the schedule we have coming up. Bethesda, Sunday, June 14th at 10 p.m. Eastern. Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb hosting. I saw this on Twitter. I don't know if it's in stone or not. But yeah, we got the X-Play hosts hosting the Bethesda conference. I think that's really cool. I would love to see them, you know, them together again, just shooting the shit, announcing, talking about games and stuff like that, so that'll be cool. So the only question is, can Bethesda's conference earn a 5 out of 5? Microsoft. Bethesda's the only conference for Sunday. We go on to Monday. Microsoft starts Monday, June 15th at 12:30 Eastern. I think that's the time they've had for the past couple years. EA, Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Ubisoft is also Monday. That's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't have the time for Sony here. Fuck. I think they're going to do Monday night around 8 or 9 Eastern. So that's Sony. So I'll be at work. I'll have a laptop next to me as my secondary screen. I'll have headphones in, and I'll be screaming incoherently at the screen while EA talks about stupid shit like The Sims, and, you know, Ubisoft talks about, you know, Assassin's Creed bullshit nobody cares about. Like, I know one of the things that's going to be at the Ubisoft conference is Assassin's Creed, what the fuck is it? Victory or Syndicate or something? I don't fucking know. Like, is there anyone honestly excited for Assassin's Creed anymore? I mean, that's given, like... That series is giving Call of Duty a run for its money. You know what I mean? Like, enough with Assassin's Creed. You know. So yeah, Sony Monday night. Then we go into Tuesday. Nintendo is having their conference, their E3 Direct at noon Eastern. Square Enix was actually going to host at the same exact time, but they got wise and moved their conference up an hour to, I think, 1 or 1:30 Eastern. Here's an interesting one. PC Gaming Conference is going to show Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, if you want a fun drinking game with your nerd buddies, get some good flavored vodka and some shot glasses ready and take a drink every time you hear Master Race, because you know people are going to be there unironically saying that shit. And that's pretty much the schedule of the big dogs at the conference anyway. So it's going to be a very, very interesting week next week. And of course, I'll be back once I get all the news, filter it out, put it down on paper, you know, think about my thoughts on it, you know, reflect on it a little bit. And before the end of June, I'll come back and post my thoughts about E3, like I've been doing for the past few years. But yeah, Bethesda, Square Enix, and a PC Gaming Conference, the new guys this year. So I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting. That's all I could say about it. You know, will E3 2015 knock it out of the park, or will it suck more than a Walmart filled with Bissell's? Who knows? And that's the video for now. Thanks for listening to my ramblings. If you've made it this far, you know, you're stronger than most. More videos on the way. Like I said, I'm going to do more E3 stuff. I'm trying to play through this backlog. I'm just trying to find time to do all this shit. I have not given up on my mantra videos. I will do more mantra videos, so stay tuned for those. I can't give you an exact time, but they are coming, I promise. But yeah, enjoy E3, and I'll see you guys in a few weeks.